Do you see this man right here? If I told you he did something horrible, what do you think comes to mind? Well, whatever you were just thinking, throw it out the window because I'm gonna tell you what he did and it makes him look like a Disney villain. This goofball arrested a 15-year-old, and no, it wasn't even for a good reason. He arrested them for sleeping in the courtroom. As usual, I apologize for any background noise. As you know, the Avengers are always outside, and I asked Spider-Man what he thought about this, and he says, "Tony Stark, I don't feel so good. I don't feel so good about this judge arresting a 15-year-old and putting them in a prison suit for falling asleep in the courtroom." But in all seriousness, if you do hear a clicking sound in the background, there's someone doing something outside. I have no idea what they're doing, probably hiding a body. But let me give you the cliff notes before I show you the video that's gonna make you mad. Basically, there is a teenager, a 15-year-old, and she was apparently doing some charity work or some good fortune as far as I'm aware, and planting trees and all that, and they were part of a summer program where they had to go to a courtroom for a school field trip. I'm also just gonna tell you right now that this person does not have a stable housing condition, so they do not have a bed to sleep in at the moment, so the 15-year-old was obviously tired. And for falling asleep in the courtroom, and if you've ever been to a courtroom, you know how boring it is, the judge thought it was a great idea to put them in a prison jumpsuit and handcuffs and embarrass them in front of the class on live stream.
They're outraged by the way a judge punished her daughter on a field trip to his courtroom. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Carolyn Clifford. 7 News Detroit broke the story 24 hours ago. Well, tonight, the teen's mom says she did not know what happened until we started digging. Her 15-year-old daughter fell asleep, and the judge felt compelled to teach her a lesson. Well, now the story is making national headlines. The entire country is talking about how the girl ended up in handcuffs and a jail uniform. 7 News Detroit reporter Ruta Olsonida is following up tonight as the teen's mom sounds off.
That mom says she was horrified to see her daughter in handcuffs and says Judge King didn't have the full story.
Before we even get into what the mom has to say, you don't even need the full story to know that you shouldn't put a 15-year-old in handcuffs that didn't even commit a crime. They fell asleep. I've been to a courtroom multiple times, and I can tell you, no matter what you're doing in there, it's boring. And if a child really does fall asleep in a courtroom, there's an easy solution. Just wake the child up. It's a short and simple solution. Hey, wake up. No sleeping in the courtroom.
Would you want someone to treat your child like that? Would you even treat your child like that if he fell asleep in the courtroom?
Latoria Hill is a single mother of 2 children, including her oldest daughter, Eva Goodman. She signed her up for a summer program with the Greening of Detroit nonprofit to keep her busy. What was supposed to be an educational field trip to 36th District Court Tuesday turned into a traumatizing experience for both of them. Judge Kenneth King, not liking Eva's attitude and seeing her falling asleep, placing her in handcuffs and a jail uniform.
I'm thinking maybe she needs to go to the juvenile detention facility. You do understand that we have a jail for kids.
Latoria says Eva was falling asleep because the family does not have a permanent residence at the moment. They're just trying to make ends meet.
Do you know how power hungry you need to be to arrest a 15-year-old for falling asleep? I can't even fathom what came into your mind that made you think that this was the appropriate response, to put them in an entire prison uniform and threaten them that they're going to jail for falling asleep. A natural human body reaction is getting tired. You threatened a child with actual jail time just because they fell asleep. The fact that this girl probably doesn't even have a bed to sleep in just makes this 10 times worse and makes you look even dumber. I also do want to add that I looked into it. He was removed from his position after doing this and from a university teaching job that he also had, because obviously I'm going to argue that as a judge, if you get so sensitive and think that it's a crime to fall asleep, then you have no place in the justice system. I would never want to be in this guy's courtroom. He'd probably give me community service for yawning.
To belittle her in front of the whole world and her friends, to make her even feel more worse about our situation. I'm a single mother. I'm trying my best. I'm doing everything that I can.
You sleep at home in your bed, not in court.
So the fact that he was talking about you go home and get in your bed, how do you know my baby got a home? How do you know my baby got a bed, her own bed that she can sleep in? She don't have that right now. So she was tired.
My heart really does go out to the mother in the situation. This has to be an awful situation to be in, where your child was embarrassed in front of the whole world because a judge was so insensitive. Out of every single solution you could have found for a child falling asleep, you didn't think of the obvious, just wake the kid up. You said, no, you must be charged. Like, what a sensitive weenie. A sad reality in the world is that not everyone has a bed to sleep in, and this child did not have a bed to sleep in. And the fact that you made fun of her publicly by doing this is 10 times worse. What I'm gonna say might be controversial, but I'm glad that he got removed from his position because obviously this is a terrible thing to do to a child. And if your ego is so fragile that people aren't allowed to sleep in your presence, then I wonder what your house must be like. Like, if you see a homeless person sleeping in public, do you go arrest them too? If you come home and see your partner sleeping on the couch, are you gonna send them to prison?
We spoke to Judge King Tuesday, who stands by his actions to discipline the child after showing him, quote, attitude.
What attitude? Literally, what attitude? They literally didn't speak anything. They were just sleeping. How much of a sensitive loser do you need to be that you think someone falling asleep is attitude? Do you know how much of a loser you need to be that you feel offended by a child counting sheep?
So do I have any reservations? Do I think I was heavy-handed in what I did? No, I don't, because I'll do whatever it needs to be done to reach these kids to make sure that they don't end up in front of me. So that was my own version of scared straight.
You didn't scare nobody straight. You made a parent upset. You scared my child. She was nervous, didn't even know how to act. She'd never been inside no courtroom.
Latoria, frustrated with how this was all handled, removed Eva from the summer program and stands up for her daughter now after she couldn't stand up for her in that courtroom.
And my baby been struggling and she been held on tight. She been going to school. She get good grades. She don't give me no problems.
Judge King has offered to mentor the girl. The family says they are not interested.
Good. I'm glad they aren't interested. How fucking delusional do you need to be that you think that you were scaring that child straight? You didn't scare a child, you traumatized a child. There's a clear difference. And what were you scaring them straight from? Sleeping? To that judge, I'm gonna tell you something, and this might be a shocker to you, but get ready. Sleeping is not a crime. I know that's a big shocker for you to hear, but you can't arrest somebody for sleeping. I'll go ahead and give you a second so you can process that you can't be arrested by somebody for falling asleep. And now that you've processed that, what the fuck? You don't possibly see how you could have been heavy-handed in this situation because you tried to punish a child for falling asleep. But thankfully, there is a bit of good news to this. I looked into it, and the mother is actually suing not only the judge, but the security guards and the security office for this. And if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I agree with her. I do somewhat feel a little bit of sympathy for the security guards because they were probably ordered by the judge, but at the same time, I feel like a security guard who has any level of competence in their job wouldn't arrest a child. Like, I feel like when you walk into that courtroom and the judge is like, hey, put that child in handcuffs. Oh, why? They fell asleep. I do feel like any security guard would be like, no, what the fuck is wrong with you? I really do hope that the mother wins this case because their daughter was absolutely embarrassed during this entire situation. And I think that judge might need to go back to school a little bit because, you know, I've never seen it in the law that you're not allowed to fall asleep. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's no constitution that says, hey, thou shalt not rest their head on anything besides Tempur-Pedic. If thou is not using my pillow, thou shalt be arrested. Like, I just don't think that's a thing. So my heart goes out to the mother in the situation. I feel like this judge is overly sensitive, like they'd probably arrest a baby for falling asleep in their courtroom. But please comment down below what you think about this situation. Do you think that for some reason it's ethical to arrest a child for falling asleep? And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe as it really does make me happy. And don't arrest children for falling asleep. I'll see you all in the next one. Later.